What's up, everybody? What's going on? K Mega 405 coming to you live from the 405, where I'm just your regular gamer, talking to the intelligent gamers out there. What's going on, everybody? What's happening? Good to be on with you guys for sure. With another My Thoughts video. I promise I won't get too political today. I'll get, we're gonna keep it about gaming. But I will say this though, because it is kind of pertaining to gaming. I will add this little nugget. I just watched the Trump interview earlier, and very interesting indeed. I'll leave my comments for what I post on Twitter or in other places, but the one thing that I'm seeing that is disturbing me, and this is something that has to do with also with the gaming spot as well, is that I'm seeing people attack journalists for asking tough questions. This is something that we as gamers have been asking the gaming media to do for a very long time, and actually praised some of the gaming media that has asked tough questions to the likes of Phil Spencer, to others. But we don't get that same type of energy when we see it with PlayStation or with Nintendo. And for some reason, that disturbs me. And it also disturbs me that there are people out there that will disrespect a journalist just because they're asking a tough question. I don't want to see journalists ask softball questions just because of the power of whoever that they're talking to has. I want to see real, true journalism to where we can see people, get asked the tough questions and see if they're going to skate, or are they going to, are they going to answer it and stand on business? That's the one thing. So I think, with that, like I said, it's just from what I've seen today, with a lot of people going after the one particular journalist for ABC. For asking tough questions. And it's just made me think about the gaming side of it, is where we see so many, if not some journalists just don't even ask, some journalists don't even ask tough questions to certain entities out there. Like, stop throwing the softballs. Let's hear the tough questions, especially when you're hearing stuff. And hell, even like Sony don't even really bring people out to get interviewed. So, you got to commend Phil Spencer for getting out there asking for the last couple of years, asking tough questions, and just kind of standing on it. It's we can love it, we can hate the answer, but as long as we get some kind of pushback from the media, I think it's really, really, really important. So, hey Jay, hey, like I said, I'm not gonna get too political on it, but I just, said, listen, it is what it is. What's going on with you, the blue? What's happening with you, brother? Don't forget to share this out. Let people know that we are live. We're gonna sit here and talk about this stuff. There's quite a few things to get into. The first thing that I wasn't even expecting to hear, which that's why I kind of start these things a little bit later, is because of the fact that you just don't know what's going to be coming out in the gaming news cycle. And the Bungie news is very, very, very interesting. Kind of blew my mind. But this was expected. If you've listened to GRG, if you listen to us to sit there and say things like that, on other podcasts, Devin the Gamer, likewise, whatever, we've sit there and we've talked about, it was inevitable that Sony was going to grab and find a way to take over Bungie. From what the looks of it, because of what Bungie has done in the past, with what they did with Activision, or what happened with Microsoft, and a lot of people blamed Microsoft for it. And at that time, rightfully so, because it just seemed like Microsoft was not being a fair player at the time, especially, bringing out one of, the franchise for Xbox, Halo. But you go to Activision, and then Activision is getting looked at as the evil empire, as Activision has been, for sure, has been the evil empire, no doubt about it. And, just because they're acquired by Xbox, there's no question that Activision, they're a shaky record, So then you see Bungie leaving them. A lot of people were praising them for leaving and getting out of there, and then they go to Sony. And we know that Sony plays by a different standard. But now, after we look at that, what's really crazy is that, is it everybody else? Is it Microsoft? Is it Activision? Or is it just Bungie being Bungie? You know what I'm saying? Out of the blue. I know there's no outrage for Sony. Like, they went ahead and they took over. Look like it's a hostile takeover for the for just for the damage that's being done over there at Bungie. And now there's 200 people being laid off. And the media is being very, very light about it. Like I'm trying to figure and understand why the hell that we don't see the same energy that goes on when Microsoft laid off. And this was really crazy to me. Like everybody that, nobody wants to see any of these people in the industry laid off. But it's just like what I've been told. It's just like what other people that said that's in the industry. Listen, this is just part of the job. And you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's feast or famine, and it's going to be what it is. And these people, when they sign up, they get it. Yeah, a lot of them, they might get shocked by it because they think that their job is safe. But this is another reason why a lot of these companies wanted, especially the people at Activision, wanted to go, and Bethesda, I believe right now too, wanted to get unionized because of this thing of where they don't want to feel, that heat on their back of thinking that if something goes bad that one particular time, that they're going to instantly lose their job. Now, for people who think that it's, that type of pressure is necessary for people to work harder, and that this shouldn't happen at all. Listen, I'm not going to dispute that because I don't work in that industry. I just know from my experience of how beneficial that unions are from what the profession that I work in. But the thing of it is that like everything is different. So I'm not going to tell anybody that thinks otherwise that they're wrong. I just think that, if you have a safer and more comfortable work environment, that you can get more production. But again, if a lot of games that comes out that, that has the crunch and has that push, if they come out to make really, really good games, who's to say a little pressure isn't bad. So, like I said, I don't want to touch too much into that because that's something that's not the profession I know anything about. So I'm just going off of just what I know, my experience. So, it is crazy, but I think people can really actually look at it and see, like, I don't think this was all Microsoft's fault or Activision or even Sony's fault. I think this is just Bungie just being Bungie. I mean, you see the CEO. I don't know if he's the former CEO now. I think they got rid of him, or he left, or he walked, or whatever, and said that he lived a lavish lifestyle. Just pretty much burning money instead of putting it into the resources for the company. And it's unfortunate that these 200 people are getting let go. But I mean, you would think that you would want to see more and more people talk about these layoffs like they did with Microsoft. But they didn't. They're not. It's just what it is. So it's just a sad situation. But the one question is now, since Sony has pretty much, they got them now, like it is what it is. How does this affect Sony? How does this affect Bungie going forward? Like they had a sweet deal, but again, it's like you sign paper with the devil. It normally doesn't happen. It doesn't normally work the way you think it's going to be. It's something that we've definitely talked about in what we said. Like, look, Sony's going to go ahead and acquire them. This is yeah. Jay comes up here and says, listen, thank you for the super chat. He says, old boy from Bungie took the money and bounced. Yes, he did. He took the money and bounced. Let me go ahead and try to see if I can get this. And for some reason, it was working for GRG, but it's over here acting up on this. But let me go ahead and see if I can get this thing to work now on here, so I can show you guys chats. But yeah, no, he took the money and bounced. I mean, it was smart for sure. So it's one of those things where you kind of look at it and you're like, bad management. And once, and you don't really start seeing things happen until a product that they make is bad. And then people start answering questions. And again, like Destiny has been a hit for a long time, but I think it just got to a point to where it got stale for people. And it just didn't, it didn't resonate enough. I mean, it's just like for me, I like Destiny, but it's just sometimes, dealing with the fan base. The hardcore and how they're sticklers about certain things. It's kind of crazy to me. So, it is what it is. I don't know what the actual where it actually kicked off and where it started to where it started to go downhill. And it could started with the CEO because of, you know, his lavish lifestyle and things like that. And then certain developers, some staying with Microsoft and going to 343, and then others staying with Activision and going to other studios to probably keep working on Call of Duty or other things, or just other people that's just left and gone to do their own stuff, you know. So like it could be a combination of all three, but Bungie is just not the Bungie that we know and love. It's just not. And they have been, you know, and I think what the killer thing was right then and there was when they came in there and kind of start dictating, because they were the new hot studio that Sony picked up. And and then they looked at a couple of projects and they scrapped them. And I wonder, and I do wonder this. Did Bungie do this to benefit them because they knew that maybe that the Spider-Man game was going to get a lot more attention and get a lot more play, a lot more engagement than whatever their marathon was going to do, or whatever that, you know, or Destiny. And then also with, you know, them overstepping, which is most people will think is the God tier and the best studio at Sony, going in there and saying, look, no, this you know, this factions game right here ain't gonna cut it. It's not it. And then just telling, hey man, cut this down. And then you got the CEO at the time telling the top tier, one of the top tier, if not the top tier studio at Sony, that their game is not good enough after all the years and money that they spent behind making that game, saying that it's not good enough, and saying, you know what, we're going to listen to Bungie, we're going to listen to the new kids on the block, and no, this is what's going to happen. That could be one of the things, and I'm sure that this was one of those things that led to the demise, not only the ABK deal going through and Microsoft getting that to happen, but I think that was probably the first nail in the coffin right then and there, because they probably thought that they were making a great move, and then it just comes out to be more of a disaster, and then you start seeing more and more bad stuff happen within Bungie, and then now you have this, and then Concord is just not it. You know, I mean, not to say that it is a bad game. Nobody's saying it's a bad game. It's just that it's not gravitating, especially in a field that is just crazily just deep with games like that. Like, people just don't have the time and the effort. Well, I should say effort, but the time to just put into Concord, because it just isn't that type of game. I mean, when you look at a game, and it seems like, and I'm not going to put on a tinfoil hat and be a conspiracy theorist, but it is, you know, it is what it is, where they give a pretty good rating to Concord over a game like, let's say, The First Descendant. And The First Descendant is dog walking, and will continue to dog walk over Concord. Concord, I know, wasn't out at the time when The First Descendant came out, but there was already a really crazy fandom for that game, for a free-to-play game. And that's what some of the even PlayStation fans and stuff were talking about with Concord, is like, instead of charging the $30-$40 for the game, how about you just make this a free-to-play and then go that route? And that game would probably get a little bit more, a little bit more engagement than what it did. I think the whole price point killed it. So yeah, I don't know. I think eventually that if the game doesn't do any better, I give it probably before the end of the year that they'll probably, well, I won't give it to I think they'll get it through the rest of the year, but probably sometime next year they'll probably turn it to a free to play, because it would be horrible if they shut down the servers within a year. Even though that's been going on a lot here lately with a lot of games, like. But Sony has the money and the capital and all that to say that, and you want to see what Concord can be going forward. But I just think and feel that that might be the best route for them, especially because, I mean, listen, the price point can change, but if the game is just not gravitating enough attention, and there's more and more games that's going to be coming out here in 2025. That's going to be guarding people's attention. It's just not a good look, in my opinion. It's just not a good look. So And this thing, I don't know why it's tripping like this. Hold on, let me do this and see if this makes it work. I don't know. So my apologies that this thing, it was working and it's not working here. Hold on, let me see if this is the, I don't think that's it. I got anything to do with that. But I'll get that thing fixed. I don't know why it's not, but why it's acting up. But anyway, yeah. Big Bad Mo, he said the first Descended is dope, and they just got. He said they just got the first content update. Yeah, I need to go back and play it. I finally have starting to play some other stuff right now. You see this gaming content right here from this game. I finally started getting off college football for a hot minute. I'm planning on getting back, and then that's when I'm gonna just start doing sports night here this coming up Saturday. Um, this Saturday night. And we're gonna play some college football. So I can't wait to get to going to doing that and start streaming that. But yeah, but I stepped away and started playing some other stuff. This is a cool little game right here in the background that you're seeing. Hold on, let me see if I can get this up right now. I see this thing posted up here, but I don't see. This app is really tripping out. I don't know. I'll keep on trying to work with it, and then we'll see after that. Oh, but anyway. Um, but yeah, no, I did just the whole Bungie situation is just weird to me. It really is. Um I don't know why. It it's just bottom line, I just think that Bungie has been the problem for a very long time. I just think so, and I think that now people are starting to get the reality of it. Like Bungie was just not the same Bungie when Sony picked them up. We've been saying that, and then people would call it, "Oh, you just jealous because now we got Halo," and there was and all that other stuff, which you don't. Um, but it's just more of a thing to me. It's just that when people think of Bungie, you definitely think of the great, some of the greatest shooters that's ever been made. But if that team is so broken up, it's just not the same. And so, and I've heard some pretty good things about the new DLC for Bungie, but for Destiny. But again, I don't know. I think Destiny has just kind of ran its course. I think people are ready to move on, and unfortunately, that's just a part of the game. So it's not it is what it is. But you know what I'm saying, I don't know. I just think that I'm looking forward to seeing what Marathon's going to be like, because I think if there's anything that has the potential to maybe be Sony's true Halo, that might be the game. But again, trying to go to a fan base about trying to go to a fan base that is all about single player games and trying to get them to start getting more invested into online games or service games as they call it. It's going to be a tough task, because it's just like with Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2, I mean, it's the PC community that has really truly held it down. It did good. It did well enough, but it's kind of fallen out of favor. Like, people are ready to start playing what PlayStation is known for. And listen, I don't think if it's not a well-known classic like a Twisted Metal, or I'm hearing that they're working on MotorStorm, which would be pretty dope. But games like that has legacy. That's a legacy title for Sony. I don't think that they're ready for it, but they do need this. I mean, something that Crispy and Sir X-Man and others has been saying for a very long time, which I agree with them, is that Sony do need to bring new online experiences. But I liked what Sir X-Man always alluded to. It made a lot of sense that why don't you try to do it the kind of Halo and Gears way of bringing in a single player experience but having an online component. And then if that game kicks off, then you could have an opportunity to make that turn that into a service title. Um, if it kicks off. Like, that's what like Twisted Metal to me just makes the perfect sense. That should have been an all-in first, bring that type of game to PlayStation, and I think it would have really resonated with not only with new PlayStation owners, but also definitely with the old school base. It just has to be just a good game. But I don't know. I don't know. Sony to me is in a weird situation. I still stand on this. I know that some people will disagree just because of the sales numbers, but this is the worst generation for Sony ever. Game content wise, it's not even compared. Like some people's like, oh no, the PlayStation 3 was not better. How? PlayStation 3 was dropping games. And they really start taking off towards the end of the generation. Now, Sony could actually do this, towards the end of this generation. But I mean, going and looking at this generation compared to the compared to every other Sony PlayStation generation, this is by far the worst in my opinion. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? There'll be some people that will argue that. I just don't know how. I don't know how you could, but it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so what you saying, Fahim? You're saying that it won't happen. You saying what? That's what happens when you get desperate. Is it Bungie? And then I hear Big Mo is saying Bungie has always been looked at this. They blamed Microsoft the first time, and then Activision the second time. Yeah, but they can't blame Sony this time, like because Sony doesn't play that type of role. Now again, Activision is a tyrant, but they were so sick of Bungie, they were like, man, go ahead, man, take your shit and go. You know what I mean? And so then Sony was like, okay, we can play the game, but like I said earlier, it's like you signing a contract with the devil. You know what I'm saying? Sony is everybody looked at that deal and we was clowning them and saying, look, this is the sweetest deal probably in gaming history, but we knew that Sony was just waiting and buying time. Like if those games wasn't hitting like they're supposed to, Sony was going to find a way to pick them up. And here we are. You know what I'm saying? It's happened quicker than what we anticipated, but here we are. We knew that Sony would absorb them, and that might be the best thing, best solution for Bungie. But we know that some of those devs has been taken over to other studios, and the others are working on those. I guess there's still the Destiny, and then Marathon, and then I believe that there's another game that's going to be coming out from them. So we'll see. But Bungie, as we know it, they cooked. They're good. It's over. It's over. So I don't know. I found that to be very interesting. But let's move on, man. Let's talk about this Xbox revenue thing, right? Because we've talked about this, right? So let me hear what Fahim is saying. Fahim says, so if Sony gets them where they man, I got this little stupid thing in the way. That's why I like the what you call it. He says, so if Sony gets them where they need to be, then what? I mean, that's fine. If they get them to where they need to be, that's fine. But again, is it truly Bungie as we know it? I mean, there's already they just let go of 200 people. I don't know if Bungie's going to be the company that they used to be. You know what I'm saying? If Marathon doesn't become this hit, then I wouldn't be surprised if Sony just lets them go, and then what's left of Bungie. So again, or just dissolve Bungie and just take all the rest of the developers and put them into other studios, and then the other people that don't want to do it, they just go their own separate ways. I mean, Marathon, everything is resting on Marathon. Now the other game, we don't know what that is, but we don't know if that's going to be a big title. We do know that Marathon is their next big title. So if that doesn't work, they're in trouble. They're absolutely in trouble. So and I'm talking about Bungie. I'm not talking about Sony. I'm just saying they're absolutely in trouble. And I think that at that point that they might just drops Bungie, or it might be just all over. So yeah, everything is riding on Marathon. And listen, it was the game that was supposed to come out before Halo, and it was kind of this is a little bit. It has I guess a Halo type of vibe to it, I suppose, or whatever. We'll see. We'll see what the game is. I'll be definitely looking forward to playing it, giving it a shot. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. You think Bungie? You think Marathon is the last big multiplayer? It could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be. But Marathon is it. Like if Marathon don't hit, that's it. That's it, Jack. Mm-mm. Nobody's going to be playing around with that. No, they're not going to be playing around with that. They know exactly what they have to do. And if that doesn't work, then Sony is not going to have any more faith in them. But again, what's also sad is though Bungie, and this is what I said earlier for the people who just now coming in and didn't hear me say this, is that Bungie could have actually been trying to be on the shady tip and say, look, this game right here, Factions 2, no, that might get more engagement than the games that we're bringing out. No, this ain't gonna cut it. This ain't gonna cut it, Naughty Dog. And and then looking at the Spider-Man game, which I'm really mad at that. Like, because that Spider-Man MMO or, service game looked fire. Now, again, you're paying Disney. Disney would rake, and that's a lot of money that they would have to pay Disney to sustain that puppy. But again, Sony would have to be smart, make that a multi-plat to where it could be played everywhere, which I think Sony would have, to get as much engagement as possible. But I think that was the hit. I think that would have been a bigger hit than Factions 2, in my opinion. I mean, after seeing the gameplay of that and what they were going to do with that and all the customization that they had and the opportunities that you could play, I would be playing the hell out of that game. I would play the hell out of that game. I would put a lot of time into that game. But again, cooked. So Jim Ryan, how Sony PlayStation fans will look at Jim Ryan's era. For me, I would look at it as poor. But because he took on Sean Layton, who did a fantastic job for Sony, and he took in and then he just kind of decimated what Sony was doing. Like, Sony was just riding high off of what the success of the PlayStation 4, and so therefore they could get away and skate of what they were doing. And then Jim Ryan wanted to make this pivot because the CEO wanted to make the pivot, the move to get more online service games, which is smart, which is where the industry is going. I know that a lot of people went after Phil Spencer and the former CEO at EA for making those comments about single player games. But like I've said before, Amy Hennig and Mark Cerny said the same thing in an interview years ago, like about around that time, that was just letting people know that single player games is just not making the same amount of money, and especially as much money is going to the single player games. Just think about this and just put this in perspective. For single player games that's out there, there's only a few that really takes off and hit. There's hundreds and hundreds, if not even thousands, of single player games out there that some people won't never get to know or see or hear of, that didn't make the cut of hitting. And then, when you look at the big single player games, it's at the most, 20, 30? We can even add, let's say 50. Let's just say 50 single player games that's doing very, very well out of thousands, out of hundreds. Yeah, man. So again, when people are investing a lot of money into these single player games and people aren't investing into them like that, of course, live service games is where it's at. I mean, because even, whatever you may think about Halo Infinite, it's still generating a lot of money. Like, people can show Steam numbers and there's a lot of people that plays it on Xbox. There's not a time where you're waiting for a match for a Halo game. Even when I was playing Halo 5 a few weeks ago, I got right in. Like, I heard that there was at one point in time when I wasn't playing it, that they were saying there was some long waits, but I was doing GRG a couple of weeks ago and I booted it up and got right into a match, and then I played for a few hours and had a good time. So yeah, I mean, people spent money, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people still spend money on those games. Like, I mean, you still buy the rec pack, and I always buy the seasons on Halo, even though I don't play Halo Infinite as much as I played Halo 5 or previous Halos, but still, I still go in and then I want to finish the season. So that it is what it is. But single player games are still important. I know that the CEO guy came out and said what he said, and Phil, like I said, he said what he said, but they still have an impact, but they just don't have the same type of impact as what a multiplayer game is. I think people can actually rationalize and understand that and be honest about it now these days. I mean, there still might be a fool or two that'll still try to argue the difference, but you show me the best You show me the top 5 single player games, and I'll show you the top 5 multiplayer service games out there. And I mean, really, the only thing that you can really come at us with is a game that's damn near 15 years old with Grand Theft Auto, and then you got a game that did win #1 last year, which was Hogwarts Legacy, over the competition. What you got after that? What you got after that? Spider-Man didn't do better than Call of Duty when you're talking about revenue and things like that. Like, I mean, come on, man, stop it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't do better than Apex Legends. It didn't do better than PUBG. It didn't do better than, you know, I mean, we can just go further down the line to more lesser known or not, or, you know, or not as popular in the console space. Like, you know, Counter-Strike, it got more revenue than Spider-Man 2 overall. Come on, man. And I know that Counter-Strike has been out forever, but it's just one of those things. It's just like, look, that's why Sony is making that pivot, which is smart. But I think that what Sir X-Man said, which he you know, the old elder statement was absolutely right about that. No question, no question. What's going on with you, Drawing T? What's happening with you, man? Thank you for coming through. What's going on with you, Stone King? He said Sony paid an extra $1.2 billion to retain Bungie employees. Seems like a waste of money. It does. It does. It does. Now, I mean, but I think at the end of the day, Sony knew that they were going to get and acquire them at some point. So I think it's still a win. Do they? Yeah, they lost. They lost in the short run, but I think at the end they'll win at the long run because they have talented talented devs to add to the other studios, and on top of that, they do have a team of devs that knows how to work on service games. So it's just Sony has to hit on that. So that's just what it is. So far, they've had one hit, which is Helldivers 2. Everything else has fallen to the wayside in retrospect. But we'll see. Like I said, Marathon is the one. And after that, then it's the curtain call. And then that's it. It's Sony's. Bungie will belong to Sony, and it might not even be the same name. And if it is, it's just a shell of itself. It will not be what we all know and remember from what Bungie was. That it's going to be something else. So I think in the short run, while we're looking at it, it is a waste of money. But I think at the long run, Sony knew what they were doing. And that's why we were saying what we were saying. Like, yeah, Sony ain't bullshit. Sony knew what they were doing. The deal was too sweet like that. But I mean, but Bungie needed that. So that's what I'm saying. So it was one of those things. It's like, hey man, I got your back. We'll take care of you. We know that you're talented. We got you, and we'll take care of you. And then all along, Sony knew exactly what was going to happen. They knew it. So that's what I'm saying. Like it was smart by them to acquire them, but it was also smart for Microsoft to avoid them. Because just think about all of the crazy shit that would have happened with Bungie being a part of Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? While it is looked at as to be smart and a great play, and well, at the present time, it's looking like it was a bad move and a bad play for Sony right now. But at the end, like I said, I think it would look better for Sony at the end. But if this was Microsoft, it would have just been a disaster. And then, of course, here comes the bad Xbox police. Like, you know, this was a failure, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to sell my Xbox type of dudes, whatever bullshit, right? So that's what we would have had. So Microsoft dodged a bullet for sure. They dodged a bullet for sure. What up, AEC founder Vic? What's going on with you? What's up with you? Fahim saying, he says, but even those games have a market. They do have a market, but the way that the gaming, and what's going on with you, Drawing TR, I think I've already said that. I'm sorry, bro. But what the problem is that the way that these companies are moving, just having a market isn't good enough. Like they, you know, in case in point, all you got to do is just look and seeing what a lot of these games there's games that I've talked about that I've been very excited about. I was talking about years before because I may have played the beta or looked into some research, maybe talked to a dev or two behind the scenes about their games. And I've showed the gameplay and all that. And those games are going to be gone or are already gone. Like, Rumbleverse, like I wasn't not a fan of Rumbleverse. I was like, man, come on, guys, y'all need to be out here working on Killer Instinct instead of this trash. But um, it didn't even last a year. It didn't even last a year. I mean, and even good games like the game from EA, the dodgeball game, that game was fun. Granted, I didn't play a lot of it because I was playing a lot of other stuff. But I mean, I went ahead and bought a pack and it, was playing it and enjoying it. And I bought a season for it, and it was fun as hell. But that game didn't, because it just didn't get enough engagement. We're at a point with these games that where if it's not, and I do feel that there's a lot of publishers or investors, they're too quick to pull the trigger and back out. I think that was always, and I said this in a video back in 2016, that once the big corporations, once gaming got into this point, we were going to get a lot of disappointment because, big business, they want big money. And now we're looking at games that like cult classics. I mean, we got to depend on the independents to give us these cult classics, because I just don't see, I think we're getting closer and closer, unless services like Game Pass and others can sustain, which I do think that they will, but to give us these cult classics that's not going to sell a lot, like, I mean, because even the fan base that gets on the internet, this is what they're talking about is, well, what did it sell? Not, sometimes we don't even care. Some people don't even care about talking about what the game was, what was in the guts of the game, how good the game was in and out. It's about what it sell. And that to me is what, and once you see that going on, where where gamers themselves are talking about that more than they're talking about the substance in the game, what do you think that the corporations are doing? So, because that's all they're about. They just want the game to hit. So, cult classics, it's great, but if it's not sustaining, then they're gonna shut down the service. They're gonna squash it. So I hate that, and it shouldn't be like that. So for when people out there that's talking bad about like a service like Game Pass or EA Play or Ubisoft or PSN Plus, listen, man, if you're one of those people that's been touting that stuff needs to all go away, you'll be killing the smaller titles that could be cult classics. Because what we'll get is the type of same bullshit that kind of rotates around that is popular right now, and gaming will be very diluted. So I think that people have to really think about that before they start making those judgments. Because so it's Stone King says Sony's $3.6 billion Trojan horse. What's going on with you, Stanley? What's going on? What's happening? You know what I'm saying? Big Man Mo was talking about never about COD, was about King COD is a bonus. Well, listen, COD is its own entity. I tried to write it off because I'm a Battlefield fan more than Call of Duty, but there's no question the Call of Duty, and I've said this before. There was even the ABK deal going. I was like, no, I'm not rooting. I'm not going to talk bad about Call of Duty anymore, in the sense of, because I buy Call of Duty every year. I enjoy it. It's my peanut butter and jelly, as for me, I'm not the big peanut butter and jelly fan. I'm more of a potato chips guy or whatever, or old school. I haven't ate a surf sandwich in a long time, but that's what I prefer the surf sandwich instead. But yeah, it's the potato chip. You know what I mean? Like, it's always the hand. You know what I'm saying? It's COD is what you can just jump in, play it, enjoy it. And then for me though, I'll jump in and I'm like, I'll play a little COD. I'm kind of indifferent of where I want to play. And then next, I catch myself playing it for maybe a week, and then I'll put it back down, and then I'll come back to it. COD is always available. It's just that junk food, and it's fun. It's delightful, but as a person that loves Battlefield and the disappointment behind Battlefield 2042, COD there's nothing out there that's going to stop COD for the next 10 years at least. For another decade, COD is going to run this market, run the shooting market, period. There's nothing else that's going to catch it in that genre, in that field, no matter how good this next Battlefield was, because I think that I think Battlefield right now is battling for its life. I mean, honestly, the franchise got a hit. And you're talking to a Battlefield fan, like a person who loves Battlefield, who's bought every Battlefield that's come to console day one, invest into the shut up editions. I'm all in on Battlefield, and after what happened with Battlefield 2042, I'm not buying Battlefield day one. That's how disgusted I was. Um, so I think Battlefield is fighting for its life, because then before that you got fans that have been pissed off at Battlefield ever since which I thought that was reckless of a lot of fans to kind of go crazy because they show a woman in World War II, which that was just a trailer. There was no stories about that particular woman that they showed in a trailer. I thought that and that's one thing I don't like: unnecessary trailers for games. If those characters are not going to be in it or is whatever, I kind of understood what they were trying to do, because they wanted to include more. Because at that time, that's where they're trying to include more women in the gaming, because the numbers were starting to go up for women gamers. But that had nothing to do with what was going on in the game. All the stories in the story mode had nothing to do with that particular woman that people were pissed off about. But regardless of that, a lot of people just wasn't a fan of Battlefield 5 for some reason. I thought Battlefield 5 was cool. Oh, my bad. I thought Battlefield was fine. Let me change this. Let me erase that up. But yeah, no, it just didn't, it just didn't resonate with a lot of people, and a lot of people was pissed off about it. There was people that was upset about one of my favorite Battlefields is Battlefield Hardline. It was an ugly Battlefield. Compared to all the rest of the Battlefields, it was not a gorgeous looking game. The story mode looked good. But I think a lot of people skipped over the story, which the story started off a little slow, but the story mode was really, really dope. Those looked good graphically, but the multiplayer itself, a lot of people kept saying it was the skin of Battlefield 4, which at this point in time, a lot of people would be begging for a Battlefield 4 right now, rehash or reskin. But at the time, people was wanting a little bit something different or more. And then if you got into it and got over the fact that the game didn't look that great multiplayer wise and just played the game, it had some of the best online maps I've ever played. Battlefield Hardline had some of the best maps, especially those DLC maps that a lot of people can't get to play anymore, which absolutely sucks. I need to try to see if I can find if there's any of those maps playable anywhere so I can go back in there, because I go back and play Hardline every once in a while. I still have a great time playing Hardline, but yeah, but it's also just the hits and misses. Like, there was no reason for Battlefield 4 to not overtake a Call of Duty Ghosts. Call of Duty Ghosts story was really good. It was annoying. The main bad guy was annoying, but the multiplayer was awful. And everybody thought at that time, when you jumped over to the new consoles, like I was like, oh, they're going to expand the player base. Nah, man, they just charged you more money for the same bullshit. and those maps, oh my goodness. Yeah, Ghost was probably the worst. There was a couple of good maps, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, especially the 6-on-6 maps, they were way too big, and they just it was, you was doing more running, and then there was all these campers, and it was just horrible experience. And so there was no reason why Battlefield 4, which was probably what most people would probably agree with, is saying is the best. I know there's a lot of people that love the old Bad Company Battlefields, which were good too, but Battlefield 4 was, to me, the top tier in multiplayer shooters. I mean, that's up there with the Halos and there's some other shooters out there that I really know, that I love and think that is fantastic. Battlefield 4 was up there, and there was just made no damn sense, no sense at all to let Ghosts beat it. But EA just EA'd it, like, just went ahead and brought that game out on the new consoles, and it was a laggy, hot, broken mess. And then again, you had to wait damn near a year or so for the game to actually work. And at that point, the damage is already done. So, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the next Battlefield, but I'm just not you know what I'm saying. But again, I've lost faith at this point, so they got to prove it to me. But they're fighting. To me, they're fighting for their franchise. They're fighting for the franchise because if it does not resonate at all, you can't make any more excuses saying because Halo or any other title that comes out was the problem. No, it was Battlefield 2042's lack of substance. Like it was just bare bones. And it was just awful. And then on top of that, the game was broken. And for anybody that paid, which I did, bought it, as we call it, the Shut Up Edition, which is, we paid for the Ultimate Editions and played it. And then you found out that the beta played better than the actual game before it came out. Oh man, it was just gross. Just gross. Broke my heart. Broke my heart. Um, Right. Yeah. Ghost shouldn't have beat anything. Ghost was not a great Call of Duty. It just I thought the story was good though, but yeah, the multiplayer and it just had a very few cool maps. Everything else was just niche. So yeah, but yeah, that's what we got on that. But anyway, let me get on to go to this part about the Microsoft and the revenue situation. I think that again, and I've said this and will continue to keep saying this. Xbox will be the market leader without selling the most consoles. Xbox has been showing you that they're getting away from the console market. This is why the console wars discussion is dying. It's fading. It's not the same anymore. I mean, saying the stands have they've never had really credibility, but there was usually some good hot blows that they could throw at the Xbox community, at the Nintendo community, but they have nothing. Like Nintendo is dog walking them. Nintendo is most likely about to be the market, the most sold consoles ever after beating the PlayStation 2. That's going to happen. The Switch, that's going to happen. Then also you're going to have to, then you got to put in the equation of now, Sony's the market leader because of this, that revenue in a third. And then you see that Microsoft, yeah, console numbers is down. They're not selling well, but then all of a sudden they are killing it. Then it turned into the user base, and then Satya Nadella comes out here, the Godfather himself, and just throws a Molotov cocktail into all that by just saying Microsoft. He says now we have over 500 million active users across platforms and devices. Our content pipeline has never been stronger. 500. Like, remember, they were over here adding all these users and putting them all together and saying, we got 100, while Xbox got 50 or 60 or something like that active users. And then Nadella, the Godfather, just comes out there and just says a couple of things and then just goes back to doing the work. And that right there, over 500 million active users. And yeah, you definitely know that they're going to include, they're including the PlayStation community that's playing Sea of Thieves, that's playing that the few that's playing hi-firush over there, and that's playing Grounded, that's playing Minecraft. Yeah, of course, but they have to log in to Microsoft in order to play those games, bro. And you know what? And I wonder. Well, it's funny because like the whole crazy move that Sony did to change their to change to where they could get to change where the PC community had to sign in to PlayStation with Helldivers 2, but then lock out like a whole bunch of people that was hundreds of thousands, if not maybe a couple. I don't know if it's millions, but there's quite a lot of countries that got wiped out. A lot of people got wiped out from playing because of that strategy from Sony. I wonder if they knew that when they were doing their quarterlies that they wanted to have a high number and they already kind of knew that Microsoft was going to maybe not come out and say over 500 million, but knew that they were going to be uh, it was going to look bad for them when it came to the monthly user. So they probably, and then that's could be one of those reasons why they changed up on it and made their strategy. But again, not even close. Not even close. Not even close. So, um, well, and again, like we've had this discussion. We've had this discussion. Uh, okay, yeah, yeah. No, I got you, Curie. No, it's all good. I didn't know that they were live until and what you call it. But I mean, you know, but no, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? I hope they had a great show. I personally look at it as, listen, the strategy is there. A lot of us don't like it, but the reality is here. It's what I've tried to explain. And listen, Big Bang, no, I agree that. Well, I agree to a certain extent. I feel that there's two more generations of console, and then after that, it's like the record. Like it's done. Like people, the younger generation don't care about the consoles to that degree anymore. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, we do, but younger generation just don't care. And so you know what I'm saying? So like again, so it's I just don't see. I think that, and I think that PlayStation could be the first one to bow out. I think that Xbox, you know what I'm saying? Everybody thinks that Xbox is the first one to bow out, but I think PlayStation might be the first one to bow out. If PlayStation can find a way to get out and get and not have to worry about that extra money to pay into to make it a console, even though, because listen, the consoles is capped. The PlayStation 5 will not ever catch the PlayStation 2, and it won't catch the PlayStation 4. It'll come close probably. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody saying that there's a possibility for that. But even if but what you want from a console is to do better than the previous console, and if that console does it, then you want at least the next one to do better. And the only console that has done that on a continuous basis, not on continue, actually a continuous basis. The only console that has been doing that at a high level, because even with the PlayStation 3 being at, PlayStation 3's tobacco in the beginning, it still had 90 million consoles sold, 90 plus million consoles sold, which is a lot. And that was considered its worst console, right? It the PlayStation 4, I think, in a sense, kind of it's kind of put PlayStation in this crazy situation that like okay, let's just say that the PlayStation 5 is not gonna do as well as the PlayStation 4. Okay, we can live with that. It's still gonna sell over 100 million consoles, blah 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 blah. And then you get into the PlayStation 6, and then the PlayStation 6, is it gonna be that one that catapults it? It's just, it I feel that they'll be the first ones to be done. I know that a lot of people think that Xbox will be the first ones to be done, but I think Xbox will hold out just enough because they know that they have a fan base that will of at least 40 million consoles. They have a diehard fan base of Xbox fans that's at least 40 million. So I think that the Series X will hit 50 to 60 million. If it doesn't, then if it stays at 40, whatever, you know that they have that many. Do anybody in this that's listening really think that PlayStation will allow themselves to just deal with, especially for the success that the PlayStation has had, to just settle for 40 million or 50 million consoles sold throughout its lifetime? I don't see that. I really don't see that. I really honestly don't see that. And so I feel that they could be the first ones out. Nintendo will definitely be the last ones out because Nintendo just is Nintendo and they don't have to worry about it. So it's just just logically thinking about that. Like, yeah, Microsoft could be, Microsoft is already, for a lot of people, thinking that they got one foot out. I just think that their strategy is just different. They realize that because of the silly shit with the Xbox One, that ship has sailed. They had all the momentum going into their side, and then they got greedy, and then they got cheap, all within one generation. And they got greedy and cheap, and then they forgot themselves. They came out with one of the most innovating Xboxes or consoles ever made with the 360, and then you come out with a fantastic console that has all this new tech, and then also adds the ability of the snap feature and all that, and and then kind of implementing what a lot of people today, with just starting the era of the content creator and all that, and putting in, so you can make videos and all that other stuff, and then you come out with a slew of really good games, but then but again, this is part of what the gaming media has become, to start slandering it about resolution and then sales, game sales, and that was its demise. And then of course, and after that, then Xbox got cheap, and and then there was some people that just wanted the Xbox to go away. So, yeah. So that was it. So PlayStation don't have to worry about the console market. That's why PlayStation was trying to finish off Xbox and make Xbox Sega. That's not happening now. That's what really not happening now. I mean, hell, it could be where Microsoft can make PlayStation Sega. if this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. We haven't even got to the full slate of games that Xbox is ready to pump out. Not even talking about what Xbox is going to be pumping out from Activision and then Blizzard. This was nuts. This was nuts to come out with these type of numbers. And I understand that people would like to bring up and say, well, what about the console sales numbers? But let's go ahead and read this right here. They says Microsoft shares its financial results, and it says the gaming revenue was up 44%, with growth coming from the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King, compared into 2023. It says the Xbox content and services revenue was up 61% year over year. Now, Xbox hardware revenue was down 42% over year and year. Now, again, this is including parts of last year as well. So, man, and if you go back and you're thinking about it, June 30th of, because I think it started in June of 2023 or whatever. Well, we're just getting out of that crazy spot where you had the highlight of hi-firush, and then you get Redfall. And so again, that was not that did do Xbox any favors at all. So that would make sense. But then, now since they got Activision, and this is because it really didn't really kick in until at the beginning of the year. I know that now they're including the Diablo and stuff like that, but and all of a sudden the Call of Duties and things like that of that nature. But I mean, we're talking about just 3 games from Activision. Well, I mean, it's more than that, but I'm just saying, it's just getting started. It's just getting started. Man. It's just getting started. And so how is Sony going to compete with such a poor lineup of games in 2024, 2023, 2024? 2025 looks better, but how much better? And then you got Xbox coming out here with more content, and of course Xbox is going to be putting more content out there on PlayStation. That PlayStation gamers is going to, it was the biggest joke around here a few months ago. Now it's looking more serious and looking more dire. Because again, like we were saying, it's the Trojan horse. What's the best way to get rid of your enemy? Is to kill the enemy within. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, let them finish themselves off. And PlayStation fans, as though they're bragging and talking about these Xbox games, they should be like, no. First priority is to put PlayStation games, even the rent games, the rent exclusives, make them first. Put it all in on that, and then if you want to get if an Xbox game coming there in the top 10, whatever. But when you got Xbox games that's in the PlayStation top 10, and nothing from Sony except for, or nothing from Sony that, because I think in the last the recent thing, I don't think there was any Sony game. I think the only Sony game that I've seen was Helldivers 2, and that was on PC. Now I could be wrong about that, but like, I mean, I can go ahead and look and be, or somebody can correct me on that. But like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Like that's not a good look. So you can sit here and talk about the 42% down on consoles already. You're just only going to agree with my theory is that Xbox does not need to sell consoles in order to become the market leader. If they can sit there and they can hit these type of numbers on a continuous basis year after year, and Sony can't keep up, because Sony's going to have a down year. So yeah, Sony's going to have a year or two where they're going to really be just, because eventually these games has got to come out. Like these hit titles has got to come out, and they got to come out at all. They got to come out. They're going to have a multiple come out at the same time in the year, right? So let's give them 2 years of really, really great growth, but then they're going to have a down spiral. While Xbox is not going to have a down spiral because of the fact that you got Call of Duty, you got Call of Duty, you got Diablo that's going to still be going strong for probably for the next 3-4 years. You're going to have new Xbox content. You're going to have Game Pass. You're going to have Xbox everywhere, like, you know what I'm saying, for what they're doing on PC, all of that. Like, it's going to be continuous. And then Sony's going to have to make some drastic decisions, more so than what they have done. Nintendo don't have to do anything, because Nintendo was waiting for PlayStation to slip up so they can go ahead and just say, look, man, you ain't even doing this shit in consoles anymore. We running this. Because the price point has got to be right, because we all know with Nintendo, it doesn't matter about the graphics. So you give them 1440p graphics and maybe a few games that can hit 4K. They're going to eat it up, but it's all about the price point for what Nintendo drops on their new console or hybrid or whatever the hell it's going to be. If they drop if this console is $400, they winning, and then Sony's in trouble in that in that department with the console, in the console space, because that thing is going to fly off shelves. Now again, if it's going to be 500. Yeah, then people are going to be looking at that different. But then again, we're going to have the new consoles coming out, and those consoles is going to be probably 600 or up. So whatever that the new Xbox and the new PlayStation is going to be, they're going to be higher. So when people are talking about this PlayStation Pro and that they're going to be bringing this out, then either Sony's going to have to dropping the PlayStation 6 and have this compat against what Xbox is supposed to be supposedly dropping their new console in 2026. We'll still, I mean, that's the rumor. That's kind of like the thought process. It's kind of like where all the direction of where everybody's talking about. Then if the Pro is to combat against whatever Xbox is bringing, then that means PlayStation 6 is coming later, and that means that thing is going to be higher. So. And then by that time, Nintendo is 2-3 years in, and then they get a little bit. They'll have a small decline in price, cooking. So it's a weird situation. So, you know what I'm saying. So like, let's see what people in the chat are saying. Richili saying, with how GPUs are getting, I do see the future where we rent them via cloud. Yeah, no, I can see all that. I can see that wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying? No, Curie, I've not talked about the MT framework issue yet. No, I'm about to talk about that after I get done with this. Tarnished in here said they might have only one console gen left, if I'm being honest. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I said, this next console generation, I think that's when it's all over, right? Because think about this as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, because there's people that's thinking there's always going to be a console in our lifetime, and I don't see it. Because think about this. Okay, so usually the life cycle is between 5 to 7 years, right? And I'm saying that we're due for another long generation. So these consoles can level out on price, because the more that the better the technology, the more expensive these consoles are going to be, right? Like, I mean, we just look at seeing what's going on in PC and what kind of behemoths the graphics cards are coming out to be, but look at the price tags on those. And so, like, it's nuts. So consoles is going to have to they're going to have to be a moment where consoles take a longer period of time to sustain itself, kind of like with the 360 and the PlayStation 3. I thought it was going to be this generation, but it doesn't look like that. So let's just say 5 to 7 years, right? So you got that. So we're looking at 2020, 2026 to 2026 to 2028, right? For new consoles. You count 5 to 7 years on that, then you're looking at what, 3033. You know what I'm saying? But I think that might be the generation where that will be where they'll take there'll be more time because of the AI technology is still, it's going to take time for that to be implemented. Like, we'll get to that phase to where we'll look at games and people's like, oh, that game doesn't look as good, don't look any better than what we played last generation. And then we get to a point, because look how long it took. It took what, 4 years for us to get a game like Hellblade, or like the games that we're seeing now. Like, I mean, it's taken us a little bit to get to these games that look incredible. Like, I mean, we getting free to plays that look like the first Descendant and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's nuts. It's crazy. So yeah. So like we're getting to that point. So it's going to take a little while for that AI technology to get there, and then once it get there, then we see that phase. I think that they'll feel more comfortable of letting the generation kind of flesh out a little further. And I think that, like I said, like I think that PlayStation could be comfortable of bowing out first, um, because they came out later. Because Xbox and then the Xbox will probably bring out one more, or Xbox can bow out later. But like my theory beforehand was saying, look, that we're getting one more generation. So if you get to a point to where these consoles go to mid or late 2030s, I mean, look how much older there will be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'll be well in my 50s. There'll be others that's in there that's maybe in their 30s that's going to be well in their 40s. And then at that point, like, I'm saying, like, and anybody that's a console gamer that's in their 20s, they're going to be in their 30s. Like, no telling what kind of situation is going to change within their life and how they're going to be thinking. And then the kids are the younger generations are the ones that care more about games on the go and playing games here, there, everywhere. They're not caring about the console like that. So I can see that if we get into anywhere close to 2040, do we really think that, honestly, thinking about that, like, that there would be another console? There could be. I'm saying that there could be, but I don't know. It's according what the sales numbers about. Like, so if you get to, let's just say hypothetically, the next Xbox that comes out and it sells 25 million in its lifetime. Xbox is not going to sit there and go through all that to make a box to where there'll be less, and there'll be less buyers. The same with PlayStation. That's why I'm sounding to say, like, play if a PlayStation hits their max at 50, 60 million, they'll probably look at that with disgust, and they'll be out. They'll figure something else out. Like, I know that they need PlayStation to sustain, but I mean, at that point, you're not making as much money as you would have in previous generations, and so therefore you're losing. So I just don't see it if the numbers keep going down. So there has to be just a crazy um, turn of events that get people to get all in on consoles again. Like, there has to be a crazy move that is changed gamers perception, and that's younger gamers perception to where consoles it's where it's at. And I just don't see that right now. I don't see that. I don't think the market sees it either. I really don't. I just really don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cosmo, exactly. What is Rich Chili saying? Or I see, sorry, it says consoles always exist as long as PC exists. Consoles is just a dedicated PC machine of gaming. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. PCs have the one reason why PCs are so important, because PCs is more than just a console. You know what I mean? Like, with a console, when you grab a console out of the store, That's it. It's a console that can have some PC elements to it that you can go and you can watch this, you could do that to it. It's, you know what I'm saying, it has that. You can hook up your keyboard to it and things like that. But when you get a PC, when you see people getting PCs, you don't know unless you know it's a custom PC, then you know it's a gaming PC. But when people just go into the stores and get PCs, we don't know if they're going to be gaming on it like that. Like they might play um um what's that, the card game, I forget what the name of that game is or whatever, but you know, play maybe some dominoes or something on it or whatever, but they're not going to really truly invest into playing serious games unless it's just a few games like maybe Angry Birds or something like that. Like that's, you know, PCs is made for not only just for gaming, it's made for all different types of things. So no, PCs will always be relevant. But consoles, I just don't think so. Like I said, it has to be a major change. I'm glad that you guys are optimistic about that. I just, you know what I'm saying, and I, as a person that loves consoles, would love to see a console for the rest of my life, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. But to say that it's that consoles is just as, you know, as long as there is a PC that there'll be consoles, no, not at all. Not I don't agree with that at all. You know, say Curious in here saying people don't need gaming media outlets. They've got a plethora of influencers and streamers they're sub to. They've got Discord servers, Reddit X, Reddit X, you know, no, Facebook, everything, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, etc. To get what they need, right? Like, that's why the gaming media is doing what they do. That's why they did that pretty much liquidation sale and get all the rest of those little entities of the media space, and now they're just all into whatever. Like if you look and listen at the gaming media, they sound more like content creators than they do sound like journalists. There's a few out there that still have that journalist type of sound, but they want to come off and be um, effective like a content creator, and that just doesn't. No. Mm, I'll let my coffee get cold. Dang it. Um, but yeah, no, that's crazy to me. No, that yeah, the media is in a bad spot. Like no, that and it's getting worse. But case in point, all right. So I wasn't going to bring this up, but I did come to think about it. Like, okay, I went and seen Deadpool Wolverine. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. No spoilers or nothing coming from me, but I loved it. Um, it was a fun movie. Fun movie. I'm seeing all different types of like media figures just and this is because I know that we're in an era of everything sucks, right? But it was really different because usually you'll have a whole bunch of people that will side with that. Well, it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. You know, yeah, it just didn't have the MCU is gone. It's whatever, whatever, whatever. But there was a lot of pushback on this, and it surprised me. Um, that was saying the movie was great. It was this and that because there was people like I mean there's a one person that I'm subscribed to. I look at his reviews and stuff like that about movies, but he jumped on the fact of saying like it was, you know, it was the sarcasm and uh, going over into the fourth wall and all that other stuff of what Deadpool is known for what he does. It it's gotten stale and old. And that's kind of like what you've been seeing from, you've seen that from IGN, you've seen that from other journalists and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of like, man, do y'all really see the? I mean, are y'all just looking this for this engagement? And yeah, a lot of it is. Like, I mean, you can't sit there and look at, and that's in my mind is what's tripping me out because I seen that there was one uh person that brought up, there was like, well, Deadpool needs to change. It shouldn't be the same childish antic, you know, blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking like, hold up. One minute you have a group of people that's saying, well, like a game like Halo should still say like Halo, and that you can't have walking and clambering and running. I mean, you only should walk, and you can't have aim sights and all this. But then the next you're talking about a character that is known for being zany and being wild in this way, but yet that needs to change. Listen, I listen, as much as to my surprise that as much as I liked God of War 2018 and I like Ragnarok, I haven't beat Ragnarok yet. I'll be I'll beat it when it comes on PC here September. Because that's why I'm looking forward to playing it and being it there. Um, but as much as I was surprised, pleasantly surprised with 2018's God of War, um, I still like old school Kratos more than I like this new Kratos. You know what I'm saying? I understand the premise of it and things like that, and being a father, having to grow, and all that other shit, right? I get all that, right? So, but saying Corey Barlog made it work, right? I got you, cool. But you can't do that with everything, right? You just can't do that with everything. Some things need to be evolved, like you need to have clamoring, running, and you can aim down on a gun if you're a super soldier. And then there's other times it's just like it don't need to, it may need some tweaks, but you don't need to overly drag. Like, I mean, they made it seem like the Deadpool movie or movies don't have moments of clarity or hard hitting moments, right? Like, and it does. You know what I'm saying? So like, and even with the Wolverine, the Deadpool Wolverine movie, there was moments that was impactful. Like, oh yeah, that's pretty deep. That's pretty sad. Whatever. I just think at this point with the gaming media is that they've lost themselves so much behind trying to catch up with the influencers, with the content creators out there, and just the general public, that they're willing to do whatever it takes to try to still stay relevant. And I think they've lost that. Instead of them still staying themselves, of still coming out and bringing out the content to where us as gamers make the decision, instead of you having journalists come out and act like content creators and tell you what's good and what's bad and what you should stay away from and what you should, instead of bringing it back to where it was. And to me, the only way that the gaming journalists can stay relevant is if they get back to those old ways, to where people can make people to let people feel like they're smart enough to know that they can make that decision. Like, okay, like, listen, this is what Xbox provides. This is what PlayStation provides. This is what Nintendo provides. This is what this game is. You can give your opinion, but that's afterwards, right? Like, you could say this game has this, that, and the third, and then, you can give your rating, but you can then make another separate video by giving your opinion. You know what I mean? Like, not, let people feel, don't try to treat people like children to try to tell them, well, that game is fucking trash and that game should not get any of your attention because I said so. Trash. That's garbage. It should never be there. What's going on with you, Michael Turner? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I think it's dumb. And then Vic, he says if you got a PC and it's not gaming, then it's for Pornhub. Yeah, oh shit. No. There's people that work, you know what I'm saying? There's people that work, Vic, and I guarantee you my wife is not watching porn. Now, if she is, you know what I'm saying, I need to go ahead and cut this short. So I can go ahead and get a little bit of that action. So, but I doubt it. What's going on with you? What's going on with you, Optimus? He says, man, look at this bald-headed Xbox. Xbox is dead. Dang, no. Xbox is alive and well. I mean, over 500 million active users, and then hitting this gaming revenue. Woo! You know what I'm saying? And then the content, you know what I'm saying? We thank you stands for you know what I'm saying, keeping that Xbox heartbeat pumping. Pause. Really strong. It's Xbox is not going anywhere. Thank you. That we appreciate that, because for everybody who says that Xbox is gone and dead and has been saying that since I don't know how long, you just only strengthen Xbox now. Like I said, so it's happening. Like the move where I've said for many years, for many moons, that Xbox does not need to sell. It just needs to sell consoles to become the market leader to run this ship. It's upon us. It's just now starting, and then we kind of knew what was going to happen. That's when they acquired all those studios back in 2018, and then in 2020 when they got Bethesda. Oh, with this Activision thing, man, it's cooking. And just get ready for when they started putting implementing these games on their phones, like full-fledged, like putting their Xbox games on their phones. And then for if they actually make the move, and like I said, Xbox's in-game is Xbox's in game is Steam. Like I'm saying, that's it's it. That's it. So I don't know, man. I think when we look at this, it's great. It's wonderful. We don't have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? The craziness of um of going through talking about the console war, because like I said in my last and I said last week, the console war is over. PlayStation, you won the console war. It's over. The console war is over. Xbox is third place. You got it. You won it. You won it. But I've already submitted that, some years ago. I said that back in 2018. Like I was like, yeah, no. Xbox when PlayStation dog walked Xbox One in 2018 with all those hit games. And Xbox had a couple of bangers for sure. But you know what I'm saying? They were cooked. They were cooked. They were cooked. They were cooked. And I've said, you know what I'm saying? And what I've said about the Xbox with this generation is that they can get back to the 360 era, and they are definitely doing that. They're definitely do that. And so, but my whole strategy of what I've said about Xbox and how they can make this work for them is, you know what I'm saying, is what is happening. Like I've been on record saying it for years that Xbox is not going to outsell PlayStation or Nintendo. Console-wise, they're just not. It's too much of a gap now because of what happened with the Xbox One. But they can still do this. Game Pass is another factor to this. And even though the Game Pass, for like some people, they keep asking this question about sustainability with Game Pass. But it's what I've talked about before, and what people need to understand about this is that EA Play, which was EA Access, has been around since 2013, 2014, right? I think it was 2014. Been very light, and it's still sustainable. It's still going strong. Matter of fact, it's getting better and better. So much so that it's made other publishers go out and make services. You got Rockstar now. You have Ubisoft, which is Ubisoft. I think Ubisoft is really going to pick up now, especially with Star Wars coming out, and then you're going to have Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then they have some other titles that's going to be coming out too. I think that they had a pretty good jump maybe this year just because of you had the Prince of Persia, you had some other games come out like. And then you get those sales as well. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. So then you got, like I said, Rockstar. Now Rockstar, they got Grand Theft Auto, and they have some other classics that you can go ahead and play. It's probably my least favorite out of the bunch. But there's nothing. If you're just going off of PSN, even though those numbers are down, PSN is not nowhere near comparable to what Game Pass offers. Game Pass is just on a different scale, a different level than anything else out there. So when you keep saying that it's not sustainable because they add all this, and then all you got to do is look at this growth. And just wait until Call of Duty lands on Game Pass. I'm telling you that I say that Xbox Game Pass is already at 40 million right now. I think they're already at 40 million. And I think that that's going to jump up tenfold. I think that they're going to jump up. They're going to get to that 50 million before the end of the generation for sure. So, because that was what everybody was wondering with it. Because at that time when we were talking about it on GRG, I remember me and Still Rain was making the point of saying like, I think Still Rain agreed with me that, that they could get easily to 50 million. Now, the question was, could they get to 50 million that year? And I'm like, no, they ain't going to get to 50 million that year, but they could easily get to 30 within that year, and they did. But they kind of been lingering because they had a really poor 2022, and then 2023 was hit and miss, and now 2024 is it's just getting started. Like, I mean, I'm saying. So again, and then come to find out that Hellblade 2 did give a bump to Game Pass. Yeah, no, did it not sell that well? It probably did not, because of the fact that it was on Game Pass. And people can make the excuse of saying, well, it did. Well, the game was only a 7-hour game. Some people, it was 7 to 10 hour game. I don't know how the hell anybody beat the game in 3 hours. I really don't. I don't. You played it on easy, and I guess you skipped and ran through it. I don't know. I have no idea how anybody beat it in 3 hours. But and then maybe like for the puzzles, they looked at stuff online to knock out, because I can tell you this: one of the longest places where I was at the puzzles was when you went into the mountains, and that took me a minute, because I'm like, what? So and I pride in not trying to look online to find anything now on Elden Ring. I had no choice. I had to figure some shit out. So I looked online. I'm like, please help me. so I'm saying, like, you got to tell me what's going on, because I'm trying to do this and this ain't working for me. So I need some help. But other than that, I try to pride myself of trying to figure it out on my own. So it took me a little bit to figure out that mountain puzzle. But yeah, no, I can't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So it is what it is. But regardless, but it did get a bump. And because that game was so short, now if we're talking about Halo Infinite and it didn't sell well or whatever, I think Halo Infinite didn't sell what they were anticipating. But I think it sold well. I mean, because matter of fact, there was people that was talking. I mean, EA was bringing that up, and other people was like, it sold well. It just didn't sell to expectations, I'm thinking. So, or sustain the sales because of the fact of the poor year Xbox. That I should say not Xbox, but Halo Infinite had in 2022. But anyway, but yeah, no, I just it blows my mind when people keep trying to throw dirt on Game Pass, and Game Pass has gotten stronger and better every year, except for maybe 2022. Well, no, actually, I'm wrong about that, because 2022 is what saved Xbox year, because they had Scarlet Nexus, they had a ton of dope ass games on Game Pass in 2022. Because didn't the Personas come out in 2022 as well? Yeah, I believe so. So yeah. No, they had Heat coming out on. They had Heat. They had some major heat in 2022. It was just the lack of first party titles in 2022 that was just awful. So, let's see. Vic said, Dark Ottoman said, he said, I see. You don't know how. Oh, Vic. Yeah, no, I just not seen that. Dark Optimus is joking around. Yeah, cook him, Vic. You know what I'm saying? Get in his ass, cook him a little bit. Flame broil him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I'll allow it, and then we just keep it moving. We'll just keep it moving, and then I'll, you know what I'm saying? Then you can back off of him. But what what's Dark saying? He says it'll be interesting to see what happens when COD. Black Ops 6 comes to Game Pass. It's gonna be massive, brother. It's going to be massive. It's not just because, and right now what we're finding out is that Game Pass on PC is dominant. Like, I've seen a lot of people that was in chats saying how much they, how much that they are playing on Xbox Game Pass on not Xbox, but PC Game Pass. Through the app, because it's great. That's why I'm like, for all the you can love consoles, I love consoles, but man, that value is just is unmatched, man. Just for the mere fact that I can go ahead and I can buy one game, and then I can play that on a PC, and then of course you don't have to worry about the baggage of if you don't like paying for the service. For the online or whatever, for what you got to pay for the consoles, you got to bail out with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, my whole thing now is where I'm Xbox, PC, and Nintendo. PlayStation, I will still always support PlayStation in other ways. You know what I'm saying? And that's usually getting their games on PC. So I, you know what I'm saying? But me just going ahead and investing into another console like that, I'm out. I'm out on it. You know what I'm saying? I was questioning about it and I was like, no, because I'm a traditionalist. I always buy a PlayStation. I always stick with PlayStation just because of the fact of and stick with PlayStation because I'm a console gamer. But then I'm just looking at it and I'm realizing like, man, my PlayStation doesn't get any burn at all anymore. Very seldom, unless I want to jump in and want to play a fighter that I bought for it or something else. Like and then I'm spoiled on the fact that um, when I'm playing Spider-Man, when I'm playing God of War, when I'm playing Helldivers 2, when I'm playing something else that's PlayStation that's from PlayStation, it just plays and performs better on my PC because my PC is light years ahead of what the PlayStation is right now. So it's just, you know, and people say, well, what about the Xbox? It's the same. Like I play a lot of my Xbox games on my PC. But you know what I'm saying? But there's games that I own that don't have the play anywhere, and I'm fine being there because Xbox, the ecosystem is there. So it is what it like college football. College football isn't on PC. But I've also like playing uh my fighters and my and my sports games on console. So you know what I'm saying? I just like playing them better on console. But I mean, I'll still play them on PC. It's no big deal. But the only racer that I like playing more on my PC than I do on console is Forza Motorsport. I like playing Forza Horizon 5 on console. So it you know I mean and I like playing and I think and I would say also maybe shooters as well. I like playing on because I really was having a problem. I finally got that situation fixed to where I could play Halo Infinite on my PC, but no. And so like there's people that saying, "Oh, you're converting, you're gonna be a PC game." No, I just know where if I'm gonna play a single player game, I want to play it on the best. This was one of the reasons why I built this PC. So therefore, I want to see it. And so PlayStation games, they make some of the best looking games, single player games. You playing Ghost of Tsushima on rig that's capable, you ain't going back. And I ain't going back. Like, I mean, what PlayStation has to offer has got to be on the equivalent of a 4080. And that, you know what I'm saying? And maybe that might happen on the next generation, but that damn console gonna be high as hell. And by that time, I'm probably gonna have the 40 or the 60 version of whatever GPU that's coming out. So I'm still gonna be ahead of the game. So I'm there. I'm locked in on that aspect of it. Like on my single player games, I want to get all the glitz and glare. Now, let me make this point too, because you gonna might find this weird, but this okay. So like Tales of Arise. Okay, so I got Tales of Arise. I triple dipped on it, right? Like, well, I can't say triple dip. Yeah, I did because I bought it on PlayStation 2. I bought it on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. I don't like the PlayStation. I mean, the PC version of Tales of Arise. So I played when I went back to go play it. I played it on my Xbox and had a really good time. Certain games like that has that type of anime look, it doesn't hit or miss. I went to try to play. Well, I didn't try to play, but I went to play to see because I bought Persona 5. And it's a play anywhere title. So I was like, oh man, I already beat it, but I want to go ahead and try to see what it looks like on PC on my root rig. And so I went to go play it, and I felt the same. I know there was a little bit more crispiness, but it didn't affect me like that, and so I had the enjoyable time. So games like that has that like so like a game like Tales of Mana, Sacred. Well, I think it's what is it? The Mana game that's going to be coming out from Square Enix. Um, I think that's definitely going to be a Play Anywhere title. I could be wrong, but hopefully it is. Um, I'll be fine to play that on my Xbox just because of the the way that it's because of the cell shade or the anime look or whatever. But if it's just like those games that looks, those realistic looking graphics, nah, man, I gotta be here. I gotta be on there. I gotta play it on my PC. So it's just what it is. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Why are PlayStation fellas so intimidated by PC? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, Tarnish. That's what I'm saying. Like as an Xbox, but Xbox guys are like that too. Like I don't get it. Like I'm saying, like it's different. It would be different if I'm all in on Steam, and I don't even use the Xbox app. I rather play my games on through Steam or through the Epic Store, and I don't play. But that's not the case. I'm still through the ecosystem. Since the console war has now evolved into the ecosystem. You know what I mean? So you know what I'm saying. So that's where we're at, because PlayStation is going to have a PlayStation Store, and these PlayStation fans are going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. And then when they make those cases, because a lot of them lies about they having some kind of they have some kind of Xbox, or I mean they have like this super rig PC. Not all of them, but most of them lie about their super rig PC. Once they actually get a rig and play their PlayStation games on that, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so will Xbox gamers. Once because the ones that said that they were leaving Xbox and they were going to get a PC, okay, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. See, and you'll be right back in the ecosystem. So when PlayStation does their ecosystem thing on PC, have a PlayStation storefront, they'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and then they'll probably look at it and like, you know what, I probably don't need to buy a PlayStation. I'm fine here. I'm still in the PlayStation ecosystem, and I get to do all the things. I get my trophies and all this stuff, and I'm good. I'm solid. It is what it is, right? Um, so they'll get there, but they shouldn't be intimidated by PC whatsoever. Like, you know, it. What makes consoles so great is that you can play a lot of great games at an affordable price. You know what I'm saying? And then on top, you know what I'm saying, an affordable price. Now the difference, it kind of goes back and forth. Yeah, you're paying top heavy by buying the hardware on PC, but the software is cheaper, right? Now again, the plug and play is a real thing. Now there'll be PC guys that will come and tell you, oh man, it's plug and play. It's easier than ever having a PC, but there's still that bullshit the PC does that, you know, certain games don't get patched until some games might not ever get patched. There's other type of little hiccups that you get that's just annoying, and you can't call PlayStation or Xbox to get that fixed, or Xbox and PlayStation. Like for instance, case in point. Um, and I wonder this. Now, I think that they would made the change. I think that they would have made the change, but because the game came out, because because it needed to patch within the first month of Midnight Suns, but it could be rolling in a lot later if it was just a PC only game. And the point, and what I'm saying, if people who played Midnight Suns, there was this glitch after you got so far in this game where you went to, if you wanted to do like a little side mission, that it was this little side quest that you did with, oh my goodness, what was her name? Captain Marvel. And so you would get into this place, and you would go to different venues to do these little side missions. Well, there was a point where there was one that got stuck, and you couldn't back out. You couldn't get out of it at all. Like you was just absolutely stuck, and it was awful. You could try to go back to your to a previous save, but you couldn't back out. Like you couldn't do anything. It was just awful. So you was screwed. And the only way you could get out of it was they patched it. And 2K Games took forever. That studio took forever to get that fixed. It took about 3 weeks. So I was dying because I was so all in. And so I was just doing those missions on missions and missions over and over and over again because I was stuck. I couldn't go no further. Like the game was just locked in at that point. Like you couldn't get past it. That was my point. Like you could go back to previous saves to where you could go back and think that you could run through that, but no, you couldn't. You were stuck at that level, and so it took about 3 weeks. But if that was a PC only game, who's to say how long that would take? Because I mean, Hogwarts Legacy on PC, they didn't do a patch until damn near a year later. Nuts. And so like that's the thing. So it's like PC is great, but it's not all what it's cracked up to be. Just like with consoles. I mean, consoles could be it could be messy too. But when we talk about plug and play, and we're talking about other things within consoles, it's just a lot more easier to deal with than what you're dealing with uh with a console. I mean, with a PC. But PC is much more is a lot better than what it used to be. That part is true. Um, but nobody should be afraid. Nobody should be afraid. Nobody should be afraid at all. Of PC. Yeah, thank you. Visions of Manta, Vision of Mana. Yeah, that right there, like games like that has that type of art style. I'm fine playing them on console. Like, I mean, story playing game. Whatever. Like I said, I played Tales of Arise all the way through on my Xbox. Didn't jump on didn't jump on my PC at all. Didn't. Um, so yeah, no, I'm cool with that. Um, let's read what Drawing T said here. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate the super chat. I wish I could show it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some reset stuff with this. I don't know why this it says the next Xbox is a PC Xbox hybrid. It will run either ARM or Intel. Native streaming launcher on Xbox will make the Xbox the smartest and cheapest PC on the market. They have keyboard and mouse support, bro. That is excellent. That is exactly what Xbox is going to do. See, again, Xbox wants you. See, let's don't get this twisted. Yeah, they want you to get a console. That's I mean, because PC is Microsoft. What other entity out there on PC has a it runs it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Windows is PC. Period. There's no, you got Linux, yeah. You got Apple, yeah. You might have a few other things that's out there, but nothing is on the level of Microsoft. Now, Microsoft is PC. So again, come home we are, and we'll take care of you. If you still want the console, cool, we'll make that for you. But again, if the community is not supporting the console like they're supposed to, why keep making? I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like, I understand because well, they got more money than God. Well, you know what? Microsoft is a little cheap. Microsoft is a little cheap. Like, you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we. I mean, this isn't joke or anything. We just know this. Microsoft is a little cheap, and that's the one reason why they're $1 trillion company. They take they know that listen, their investments, some of them's gonna cost a lot of money, but they damn sure want their money back. And then they'll take more risks when they get their money back. But if they don't get their money back, they're gonna tighten up. So it's just what it is. So like I'm saying, like it's what I've said before. It's up to the buyer's market. The public is what's going to make the decision, and as we are seeing, is that the public um, wants what Xbox is doing now more than the old traditional way. Like we just got to get used to that, and that's what it is. But when people thinking that Xbox is going to turn to Sega, that shit is just not happening now. Not happening now. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on. Want to talk about these? Want to talk about the MT frameworks thing? It was something that I alluded to last week, and I said that Xbox was definitely going to make the move to get Marvel versus Capcom, but and I said it in this way of saying like, look, I think the game, if the game sells well, there will be a way that game is going to land on Xbox in some capacity. I thought it was going to be more like a like a definitive edition for the Series X and S or something like that, because it will sell well. I don't know what their number scale is to where they'll feel like the game's going to, but that was my theory. I said, but Xbox is going to get that. Now for the S&T collection or whatever, I thought that was cooked. Well, I guess enough people has made some complaints, and it's come to the and so and that's one thing that you got to like about Xbox, man, because they listen. You know what I'm saying? If the bitching is complaining, the complaining is enough, unless it's for the moves that they're trying to make, they will listen. And so they're working on it. They're going to be working on the whole MT frameworks. So that tells me two things. One is, again, thanks to the gaming community out there that stayed on their ass to let them know that yes, Marvel vs. Capcom collection is serious and we want it. And you know what I'm saying, and I understand that it's a rumor, but I believe that this rumor is about is coming is real, right? But it also tells me that Capcom, maybe Namco, Sega will probably come out with more of these collections. And if they come out with more of these collections, then we'll have another Marvel versus Capcom incident to where, like, the SNK collection, you got some people that will sit there and throw a jab at Microsoft or whatever, and we miss out on that game. We Xbox gamers miss out on that game, which is unfortunate. But when you have another type of game, like let's just say Namco wanted to do a Soul Calibur's collection, like a Soul Calibur from the first one all the way to the last. Or what about a Tekken collection? What about I don't know. Does Namco have the rights to Gundam? I don't know. People in the chat, you got to help me out on that. What if they have that? What if they have that? What if you know what I'm saying? What if they do a collection of the Gundam games or something like that? Like that's to me is important to think about. And I think that because if Microsoft is working on this, because we got to still say rumor, um, that means more collections are coming. I mean, we've already had collections, of course, and there was those collections that came on Xbox before. I have them. I have damn near all of them. Uh, but Capcom is letting me know that they're doing more, and I think that Namco is going to jump on board, and I think that Sega will jump on board. It would be great to see some other collections from other publishers out there, but I don't think that. But I think that like this is more for the older Japanese games out there, like that's pertaining to fighters or like maybe some like or like just certain games that just were only just made to be put on a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, etc. I think that it's best to work on that to get that fixed and then have that implemented for the new console to get that out the way. And then let the good times roll, man. Because listen, I'm getting the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 the Marvel vs. Capcom collection without delay. Like that's getting picked up day one. And I will be glad to double dip if it comes to Xbox, which it should. And hopefully then we'll get the SNK and then we can get some other stuff. Um, okay, so yeah, that's what I was thinking. Sickness is that Namco had most of those. Like, I mean, it's right there. Like, you have a collection. Like, if they did a Gundam collection and that misses Xbox, that's a problem. That's a problem. Like the Marvel vs. Capcom is a problem. The SNK is a problem. But I'm saying there's. But like I was saying before, like that's why I was like, Marvel vs. Capcom is coming to Xbox. I just knew that they wouldn't let that slide just because of the fact of the popularity of the game. And if people didn't know, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was hated when it first came out. When it first dropped, it was hated. It was hated. The fighting community hated that game. They hated that game. And then all of a sudden it became beloved. Like once people start really understanding the nuances, the way that the game flowed, the whole vibe of it, then it became a cult classic. But that game was hated when it first came out. And at that time, Capcom, mostly anything that Capcom did, people was hating on Capcom. Like, because I mean, that was, and that was unfortunate because Capcom took a lot of risk and they made a lot of, and I thought those risks that they took, they made some really cool fighters. That some didn't resonate, but yeah. That tells me that they're bringing some. Like, let's just think about this too. Okay, so those rumors, and this is for my brother Sir X Man, and for all the Power Stone fans out there, right? What if, because those rumors, those leaks that came out a few years ago, they said that Capcom was working on a new Power Stone. What if before they make a new Power Stone, they come out with the Power Stone collection, and then Xbox gamers don't get to touch it? Lord, I would probably have a my thoughts rant for your ass. Man, if you don't get that going, Chili, he says, Zenless Zone Zero needs more cool dudes. The ratio of girls is too high. I don't complain about the ratio. Listen, you know why. This is a free to play game right here. If anybody wants to check it out, it's a really cool game. You just got to have a lot of space because it's like 100 and it's between like 110 to it's like 120, 103. I'll just say 110 just to be safe. 110 gigs of space, right? And you see the game looks beautiful, right? Like it combat is sweet. What you're seeing right here is only as far as I got. I'm gonna play more. Um, Here on the channel, you're going to see a lot of just content, right? Since now the situation with GRG is pretty much resolved. We only have two more episodes throughout for the year before we're done with GRG, and so all I got all of this gameplay that I've had stored, that I had stored, and I've had it for gameplay for GRG. I'm like, fuck it, I'm finna start putting on. So you'll see me going through where I played all of Guardians of the Galaxy. You'll see all my gameplay of Hellblade 2. You'll see all my. I did erase quite a bit of Forspoken, but I still have tons of that. What else? Crossfire X. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of content. And so you'll see a lot of content drops here coming of me, of a lot of my game because I need to get, because all my storage is full. And mostly of it is just gaming content that I've recorded that I've been saving to add on to what I do with content, with my gaming content that I will put on GRG. So get ready for that. Like I'm going to start that tonight. I'm going to start dropping probably the Hellblade gameplay stuff tonight. It's either going to be Hellblade or it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know which one will be first, but that's it. And then you'll just start seeing a slew of just gameplay content of me where I went through the games, where I went through these games. But yeah, I this game is cool though. This game is cool, but this is the rate. Of course, they're going to put more females out because let's just make it true. Let's just call it what it is. There's a lot of horny ass men out there, and yeah, there's some pretty voluptuous ones out there. She's one of the more timid ones in the game. But yeah, there's some. I haven't got them. I haven't got them all yet. I only got just one. I got one more extra character. But yeah. A lot of jiggly puffs going on. So yeah, that's why the ratio is. I mean, just think about this. And even though there's a good balance within the First Descendant, there's still more women. You know what I mean? So like they know what they know what they're doing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they know what some of these guys like out there. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I just like I have no problem with looking at some nice TNA, but for me, it's more about the gameplay of the character more than it is looking at just jiggle physics. That's I mean, I don't know that it gets to a point to where you're like, damn, she hot, and then next thing you know, I'm in the game. I'm not even thinking about it. But then it's just when the people that's so obsessed that showing Eve climbing down a ladder, or I'm like, listen, wait a minute, what are we doing? But hey, that I'm in that lane from okay, yeah, she's hot. I like hot characters, and then like, okay, what the gameplay like? But then there's a freaky flag line that I don't pass that line. So I let the freaky flag fly for some of these folks, but not for me. I won't go past that line. What game is that you have playing in the background? It's called let's see, what is the game called again? Because I got to look at it again. What you call it? Just said it for me. Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero. All I had to do was because I got like three of the screens up and it's blocking what the game is. But I guess I could have just moved it like this and then just had it right here. But yeah, then I would see it right there. But yeah, like yeah, it's you go to the Play and y'all gonna laugh at me, but it's Ho-Yo Play. So you type in the Ho-Yo Play, or if you just type in the Zenless Zone Zero, it's gonna take you to this this page, and it's like Ho-Yo Play games, I guess. And then that's where you sign in and you get it. But you got to have some space. Like I said, you got to have over 100 gigs of space. It's a big game. But it's cool. Like I like the combo system that they have that they're doing that they're using. Like I'm still a newbie at it first, but and still getting the feel of it. But it's pretty dope from what I'm playing. So yeah, for and it's free to play. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So you'll see some more gameplay of that for sure going forward. Megatron, what's up with you, brother? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? He says, "What game is this that you have playing?" Okay, yeah, now so everybody knows. All right, so sorry I missed some of these people. He said I work. He said I work my ass for Zuzang. Get to whatever the hell you're saying, Richili. Okay, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna play to get more, but it is crazy. But we'll just sit there and see what's going on. But anyway, um, let me get back to finish what I'm talking about so I can get out of here. I forgot that we're going to be having company coming up here. So, coming up here a few for dinner, but the MT framework issue, you know what I'm saying, on the Xbox. I'll read this little part and then I'll just reassess what I've, like I said. It says during the latest episode of and I guess that was on Xbox Two with Jez and them. That Microsoft's lost their grip to the FGC, starting with Street Fighter Five, which that was Sony owning that. So I don't know how they, I don't know what that has to do with, Sony paid for that. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. But anyway, the ongoing issue with the MT, and well, maybe that was a conversation that why Sony went ahead and got it, and then it didn't come to Xbox. So maybe let me correct myself. So that could be an issue. It says the ongoing issue with MT frameworks and Capcom games, which are skipping Xbox for technology reasons. Usually, really, from what I've been told, but I've also been told that Microsoft is actively working with Capcom. I think Microsoft has identified that having Capcom's back catalog not presented on the Xbox for the technology reasons is not a good look. No, and I agree that is not a good look. But like I said, I think this is more than that because this has let me know that Capcom is bringing more of these games, and so I was just thinking that maybe there might not be no issue with if Capcom, I mean, with Namco or if Sega came and did something with their old collections because we've already had a couple of collections from Sega as it is, but just in case if they don't want to put these games on the new hardware because it's cheaper for them to do it on the older hardware, then you have to have that fixed. So yeah, I'm glad that the fan base has really opened up and it's done that. I really do. I really do. I really do. So anyway, um, that's about it. You know what I'm saying? I talked a little bit more about things that I wasn't prepared to talk to, the Destiny thing and things like that. But yeah, no, I think this was a good conversation that we had. Um, I'm looking and seeing Curie and Richili having a good conversation talking about this game back here in the background is playing. Listen, I'm definitely going to be playing more of it. Like I said, I've got off of college football for a hot minute. I started playing Mortal Kombat. I thought that the Kenshi is a really really cool character. I got somebody online jumped on me because I was playing the computer on hard so I could learn the character to be prepared to jump to play people online. Now I have not played with Lydia yet on Tekken, so I will be doing that later on tonight. So get ready this Thursday for let's see. I was thinking about because like I said, I got company here coming here in a little bit. I don't know how long they're going to be here, so I don't know if I'll be having the time to do fight night or the energy. But so, well, no, today is Wednesday. I'm thinking today is Thursday, so I'm wrong. So tomorrow I can do fight night Sunday or fight night. And so, yeah, so I have the time. Well, I'm tripping. Yeah, so Thursday night, we'll be doing fight night. So if you want to come and join, that's fine. Saturday, I will be doing sports night for the first time, and we'll be playing college football. Opening up, I did put that schedule out on Twitch. So hopefully you'll come and check me out there. I will be doing streaming on YouTube as well. But it's just like with certain fighters, there's just no way that I can do it because I get flagged every time. Those older or more niche Japanese games or Asian games, I get flagged for them every time. So it's more of the thing that I just do it on Twitch and just get that out the way, and then I'll probably maybe record some stuff if we're playing because sometimes we multi play. multiple fighters. We'll start off with the headline fighter and then we'll move on to other fighters. So if we're going back to a game that doesn't have a problem, then I can go ahead and I can record it and I can put them on here. So like I said, the content will be coming. I'm going to be dropping later on tonight. I'll be dropping either Hellblade 2 gameplay or it'll be Guardians of the Galaxy. So get ready for that. And then, like I said, there'll be a ton of others that I'll be dropping now. So I thank you guys so much. Appreciate the super chats. Hope you guys will come and check me out when I do another one of these. I know that they'll be somewhat random, but yeah, there'll be more of my thought videos coming for sure, man. I hope you guys have a good one. Yeah, I'll be playing more of this game that you see in the background. So everybody have a good one. Everybody have a good day. Stay blessed. Peace.